Hi guys, and welcome to Bandcamp Draws, and welcome to this new video where I'm going to talk about my new ProCreate brushes. For those of you who are here because you want to purchase my brushes, welcome to you guys and thank you so much for the support. And those of you who just stumble upon this because you're curious as to what this is, welcome to you guys as well. There's going to be a lot of tips in these videos, not just about these brushes and what they do, but just in general we're going to have a little bit of drawing fun. So just a wee update. I have been selling my original brush set for ProCreate, which contains 17 brushes, but I have made 10 new. And I didn't really make them with the intention of selling them. I just, as I go along in my digital painting, I just can't help but make new brushes that fits my purpose. And also, as some of you guys maybe know, I got a job as a concept artist at a gaming studio, so I had to sort of up the professionalism when I draw on the iPad. So, as I said, welcome. We're going to be going through some of these brushes that you can see right here, but let's get to it and let's just go through one of them one by one. The first pencil in this brush set is the construction pencil. That is the one you see right here. Normally I keep it in blue because I like constructing things in blue. And as you can see here, there is a little bit of examples as to how I use my construction pencil. It functions just like a normal pencil that you would have on normal paper. It has a really nice sort of like chalky feel to it. And to just give like a live test, we can just make a little drawing here. You can see that it has that really awesome pencil-like feel to it. And we can just draw very quickly a little cat right here. I like to keep it a little bit smaller than what you can see here. So if we just go over here, yeah, maybe actually a bit smaller. You can see I have quite a thin line art right here on these characters, and then I like to go in and just reorganize some of those lines. But you can also keep a pretty broad line as I did here. Whatever works for you guys, but I rarely go any further than the construction base with this pencil because I prefer to use my other line art pencils for that, but for this purpose it's awesome. So if we go to the next brush, I have the ink sketch. Maybe some of you recognize Smoothie the cat right here, that I did a little video about right here. I really can't praise this brush enough. I modified it over the original brush that you have in ProCreate. I think it was the Ink Bleed. I made mine a little bit thicker in the middle, which means that you can apply a little bit of pressure, and as you press hard it goes a little thicker than the original brush would do. And I just think for me that works a little bit better. But as you can see, these two are two very, very different drawings, but I achieved the same, it was the same feel of drawing with this inky style with a bit more pencil to it. As you can see in these ink pens that ProCreate has, it's a bit more clean lined than the Ink Bleed or the modified ink sketch that I did. And that's because even though I'm drawing with ink, I still like to keep that sketchy feel to it. But it is still as merciless as original ink in the sense that it doesn't really make you or allow you to make that many mistakes. But this is just like, I love this brush. Okay, then we have the Studio pen. I don't really use this pen that much because, well, I don't really draw that many comic style things. I am a sketch person, but once in a while I do like that, it's there and you can make fun stuff like this. And it has It has a nice quality to it because in the stroke here you can see I put the streamline up a little bit, which means that it's a little bit slower when you draw, so you get a finer line, which is really essential for when you're drawing comic styled characters and whatnot. So that was a little bit too big, let's put it down. So when you're drawing with this and working with it, just really makes it so easy to get those very clean lines, as you can see right here. Okay, then we have the extra thin line detail and the extra thin line detail smooth. And as it says on just the name of these brushes, it sort of implies that this one has a little bit of a smoother texture to it, and this one is a little rougher. And the reason that I made two is because sometimes I just, I like to mix up the line detail, because if you keep using the same brush, your brush work is gonna look a little dull. But it's really good for getting in those extra, strokes, especially with hair. I don't have a hair pencil in my arsenal, and that's because I just like to draw it in manually with these brushes I have right here. But try them out, figure out which one you like the most, if it's, if you prefer to use this one for the more rough, or you prefer this one for the smoother detail. It's really up to you guys, but it's nice to have a choice. Oh, I didn't say this, but before I only had one of these, so this is one of the new ones. So if we go back here, and here we have two original ones as well, but for you who hasn't tried my original set before, I'm still gonna go through it. Actually, this one right here, actually it's easier to just do like that, is the one I use the most when I am doing sketches where I am focusing more on, keeping the texture of the sketch line art. And the reason that I use it so much is because when you make the first stroke like that, it doesn't, even though you have it on the highest opacity, it doesn't go completely black. You have to work it in a little, and that's really good for sketching, at least I think so. Here you can see two very different results of using this brush. You can see the fox here, where I've been, keeping it very loose. And here you can see on this girl, I've sort of contained myself a bit more. I've been thinking a bit more about the line work and how to use it. I also made it a little bit smaller. So just because you have a brush, it doesn't mean that it gives like one style or you can use it in one way. You can still mix up how you use only one brush. And maybe it sounds stupid that I say this, because why the hell did I bother to make a 27 full digital brush set? And that's because I think that people should be allowed to, find their favorite brushes, and if they only use that for a while, then good for them, but it's nice to have the choices again, as I stressed before. Okay, now we arrive to some of the new brushes that I modified. I found out that when I'm doing big scale digital paintings with the high-res resolution and stuff, I needed a brush that was a bit softer and a bit more like leaning towards a more cartoonish style. That's how I modified the Awesome Paint Sketch. And actually these days, this is my go-to brush and my favorite. And this entire painting is made almost just by the help of this paint sketch right here. And as you can see, you can sketch with it. It has a very, very soft feel to it, but it still goes completely black if you press really hard, and then light gray as you keep a lighter touch. But it's just really fun to work around with. It has a very smooth outline to it that I personally really like. But also when you start to color, it becomes an excellent color painting pencil as well. For example, if we try to work in some extra bark on this tree, let's say we want a piece of bark right here, and we want another layer over like that. I mean, it just, because it's so smooth, you can actually use it without even smudging it out afterwards. I hope this kinda, if you can see properly, it sort of gives you an idea. It's really excellent. The idea of the awesome painting brush detail is not necessarily that it should, you know, make more details, but it has a little more texture to it. So you can see what I just drew right here, it's kind of smooth, whereas let's go in and put an extra line on top. I don't know if you can see it, you guys, but maybe it's easier to see it. You can see it has kind of like little hole and dimples in it, which adds a little bit of texture, and sometimes you can need that. But it's modified over the same layout, these two. Then there is the awesome smush paint, and of course with smush I mean smudge. But when you pick this brush and you put it in smudge mode, which I've indicated right there, it really smudges out your painting work so beautifully. So if we go down to this layer and we figure out that, what can we say, that actually there is kind of a mistake here where you can see the lines going over here. That's kind of annoying, so let's try and smudge that out. And it does it really well because it still has like a slight texture to it, so that just works. So I would highly recommend using this for smudging out your work if you find that is a necessity. And over here we have two new brushes again, which is the oval brush. We have an oval brush original, sorry, and then an oval slim that I basically just slimmed down a little from, you know, so it doesn't become so broad. Maybe I can show you easier if we go in here. And here you can see the form that it is based on, and then we have the oval slim. You can see that is basically just slimmer. The cool thing about the oval brush is that it has a chalky feel to it. I mean, personally, I really like that when you're doing chalk feel sketch to it. It's the same with the construction pencil, but I would prefer this when I sketch more detail. So it just, I don't know why I keep drawing foxes. Maybe it's my preference these days. But it works really great for the sketching layout, but also for coloring actually, because it has an original color pencil feel to it. So as you can see here, it kind of fades out into these chalky textures right here, which is great for coloring. I wouldn't recommend it for the traditional digital painting, but for keeping up maybe a color book feel, this would be the brush you would go to. Then we have the original line soft detail, and as you can see, that is just perfect for when you want really soft, sort of romantic style Disney drawings where everything is so comfortable and relaxed and rounded. Maybe that was a bit exaggerated, but I sometimes feel like that is what they do. It's very nice to look at. Not much new to say about that other than it's very nice to work with. Then we have the blocking color. Not much to say about that either, other than we have a broad one right here and we have a smaller one right here that reacts to the pressure sensitivity and corrects the size in terms of that. Okay, here we have a lot of new painting brushes, and maybe I overdid it a bit because usually I will maybe stick to the hexagon brush here. Is quite good. It has a very nice opacity in it. The painting brush, I'm also still really happy about that one. This is a new one, this is an old one. But I just felt like as I was going deeper and deeper into the digital paintings and being more and more professional about it and creating more high-end paintings, I noticed that it's nice to have options again. And also in terms of what environment you're drawing. This environment here is a great example to that, because even though I almost only created it with this brush, I really, I took great pleasure in going in and refining these, small details and using the different brushes for that. And I recently saw a video where a guy said that your brush work will look stale if you only use one. And it's not that you can't use one brush for the, big percentage of your painting, but it's just really, it's a clever idea to go in and mix it up a little because it makes it look more alive. This brush, the paintbrush watercolor, has a really nice texture to it, and I don't know if you would say that it's like a perfect watercolor or anything, but it functions a little bit the same way as you can see here. I don't use it a lot, but for watercoloring or achieving that effect, it would be really good for that. Then we have the two brushes here, which is basically the same brush, except this one has rotation and this one hasn't. And the reason that I made a brush that has no rotation is because I kind of wanted to have a little more, how do you say it, control over the brush. So for example, if you turn the canvas like here, you can see the brush turns with you a little bit. And what the oh, sorry guys, I switched up these two. This of course is the one that has no rotation that I was talking about before. So when you use this one, sorry, it stays on your angle that you're drawing in yourself. So you can see you can turn the canvas like that and that will fix it for you. Whereas here it comes. This painting brush detail, where it doesn't say no rotation, will rotate for you. This is really good for abstract painting and for keeping it a bit more alive. But if you want control, it's nice to have one with no rotation at all. Then we have the original airbrushes, which I mainly use for lighting, as you can see here. And the only difference between those two is that this one again is sensitive to how much pressure you apply and will readjust the size accordingly, where this one doesn't do that. But it's really nice for shading, for working with light columns that comes in, and stuff like that. Also maybe if you want to make a little highlight on a face, like on the nose right here or whatever, it's just a really good brush to use for both light and shadow. And then lastly we have the element brushes, and some of you might recognize this one, and this one. I haven't changed those at all. They still work really great for me. They still make those little extra details that maybe you don't really want to go in and brush up, in the manual way. You could say that it's cheating a little bit, but hey. The new brush here is the Snow Freckle Spots Transparent Brush. And it's basically the same as this one, except for the fact that it's a bit more transparent, because what I found out with the snow freckle spots is that if I want to do specks of light, let's say that for example I want a little bit more here, you can see that it's very hard in a way and very dense. So if you go in and you use the more transparent one, you'll get like a little bit of a milder, more, yes, as it says, transparent look to it. Both are really nice. It's not that I would give up on the original brush, which is why it's still there. It's just nice, again, to have the choices. Which you can sort of say it's the message of these brushes, choices. So yeah guys, I hope you liked this little introduction to the brushes, and for you guys that didn't come here to learn about the brushes and wasn't interested in buying them, I hope that you still found it educational to talk about the brushes in general and see how you can work with the different textures in different paintings. But yeah, if you want to buy them, there is a link in the description and you're taken to my Etsy store if you click on that, and then you will have the two options of the new brush set that I just went through right here and the old one. It's up to you what you want to buy and what you want to pay for. Again, it's not very expensive because I do know that we're starving artists, all of us, and even though I got a job in the industry, I still don't get paid a lot, so I'm still with you guys. I'm still on your team. So yeah, but enjoy the day and stay artful, and yeah, bye!